First up, are there any additions or adjustments to the agenda?
Carl had one he sent you?
Carl?
Yeah. They thought you were gonna say, so I didn't look it up, but
Force.
Was it an email today?
Hang on. There was one from Seth Jones with a request about Carl, but.
Yeah.
The scoping study is the one that I forwarded. That's already on here.
I was very pleased when I tried it and it worked.
I'll let you look that up and go through the next
yeah,
couple.
go ahead, sorry.
Invoices and orders are going around. Haven't heard any questions about those. Is there any comment from the public? Hearing none. Select board updates, issues, concerns, celebrations.
So very big turnout.
Wonderful turnout tonight.
The Jubilee is happening, the first Saturday. Is that this Saturday?
Yeah, that's this Saturday.
The
Take it
Saturday,
out to the Jubilee.
yeah.
I want to be in the parade.
As an
Look,
elf?
I think it's a good elf.
You'd make a good elf. Yeah.
Nothing else. Next up is the consent agenda, and for the public's clarity, under the consent agenda is approval of October 29th, November 3rd, November 14th, November 4th, 12th, 14th, 17th, and 20th meeting minutes. I haven't seen the 24th, but I have it on as a placeholder.
The 24th and 28th on the website, but I realized this afternoon I hadn't sent them out to you
Yeah.
guys.
So we'll leave the
Yeah.
24th off because I didn't know that. As well as accepting the resignation of Peggy Williams from the Rail Trail Committee. Can I get a motion to? Accept,
So moved.
motion to approve the consent agenda item as amended. Further discussion?
I was not here for one of those meetings as chairman, so you have you'll have a majority, so I'll just abstain.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
Abstain.
all those abstaining. The ayes have it. You didn't find anything, Paul?
No,
Okay,
false alarm.
Rosemary, is there anything for your report?
Next besides the warrants.
Okay. Next up is the road foreman report. Jason didn't have time to get one together today, but I did talk with him. They're plowing and. He did mention under the budget that we're gonna need to increase the sand line item by quite a bit. We'll get to that when we get to the budget. He mentioned they may be able to work on Scribner Bridge if time and weather allows. And he wanted the board to know that there might be tight on overtime by the end of the winter, just a heads up as of this point.
Been using quite a lot on these tractors.
When you say tight on overtime, you mean like,
We budget for 300 hours of overtime. We try to recommend that they don't go over 250.
mm,
But we had 3 guys for a couple of weeks. And that chews up overtime pretty quick.
mhm.
It always seems like it's a target every year anyway.
Right now it's a heads up. We could definitely ask more questions if need be. And when we get to the budget, we need to talk about if we're doing paving or not and what year that would fall under. Those are all things that came up in the discussion. Anything else? No. Next up. VHB presentation of the scoping study for connecting the rail trail to downtown. Would you be willing to come up and sit closer to that mic for?
I would, is it possible to share what?
Sure. Just plug in. Is it USB, USB-C?
Yeah. You wanna,
And you're all of the above? Okay.
Won't be able to tell if I'm on camera. I won't be able to tell if I'm on camera.
A mirror image, right? Oh,
So could you introduce yourself for everybody while we're doing this?
Karen Tentoff with VHB. I have had the pleasure of supporting the downtown Johnson LBRT connections study over the last several months. And hoping to present the process and the alternatives that we looked at immediately here to hopefully gain endorsement from this body for the preferred alternative and the implementation plan that we put together to carry some of those elements forward and hopefully from this body for the preferred alternative.
All right. Please go for it.
All right, so folks can hopefully see on the screen, I will try to make it a little bit larger here, and I am gonna go through this fairly quickly. I know you have a busy agenda, but so just at a high level here, we'll talk a little bit about the process and the folks involved. We'll talk about the purpose and need, and then talk a little bit about the alternatives that we had come up with and an overview of those. Talk about the evaluation of those alternatives and then a recommended preferred alternative. Here again to hopefully gain an endorsement from this body on the elements of that implementation plan. And then talk a little bit about next steps. So
Could you-
just at a high
Did you turn the mic towards you? Thank you.
All right, so at a high level here, Evan Hoff from my team, as well as Joe Vanacore, were supporting this effort and did the bulk of the work. Carl has been supporting throughout the tail end of the process here, as has Doug been involved since day one. And then want to acknowledge Tori and her involvement through the Trail Council and representing the LCPC. Many other folks involved throughout the process, but those are the folks that have really been shepherding this. So just a little bit of a reminder for the folks in the room and for the select board. We have had a number of engagements throughout this process. So this is generally what the schedule for the project has looked like. But really we were with the community back in May to talk about folks' concerns, thoughts, ideas, lots of great ideas that came to the fore. We'll cover that a little bit. And then we went back to the drawing board and worked with a lot of those ideas and figured out what we could carry forward into some conceptual alternatives. And then we're back to engage on those in August with the community. And now we're here today to hopefully move forward with an implementation plan and the preferred alternative. We are aiming to wrap this up pretty rapidly. The granting performance period ends at the end of the calendar year. So we are hoping to finalize the report just after this meeting and get that all wrapped up so that that reporting back to the granting agency can occur before December 31st. So the purpose was really to identify the community's preferred alternative for a meaningful multimodal connection between downtown Johnson and the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. Obviously in recognition of the opportunity that comes along with that transportation and recreation facility and the opportunity, particularly in terms of economic development for the downtown. So really trying to, make that connection stronger than it is today. Some of the needs that were identified, the missing connection, there's really, the LVRT does not connect to the existing sidewalks in Johnson in a formidable way, although there is a sidewalk network that exists. The existing route along Railroad Street lacks consistent facilities. Wayfinding does not serve all users of the trail to make that connection stronger. And so recognizing that it is falling short of its potential as a gateway into the village. And then certainly the opportunity that comes along with the improved connection between downtown and the LVRT that will contribute to the community's broader development goals. So when we were back with the community in May, We heard a lot of great ideas. We're asked to think outside of the box in terms of really trying to create that connection. There were some great ideas that came up in that conversation, including things like, ferrying folks across the river and all sorts of, thinking outside of the box and great ideas. Ultimately, we went back to the drawing board after that conversation to really take all of those ideas and all of the concerns that we had heard through that conversation to come up with some alternatives that we could evaluate and think about, improving that connection and addressing the needs for this project. So when we did that, we came up with a handful of alternatives. Unfortunately, none of which included the self-propelling ferry system across the river, but some other ideas that that we thought had some legs to them and could potentially be carried forward again to enhance that connection between downtown and the trail. So what you're seeing on the screen here is just an overview of those alternatives. Alternative 1 was looking at Railroad Street and sort of a minimum treatment option. Alternatives 2A and 2B we're looking at potentially, a shared use path along Railroad Street and what that could look like in a couple of different iterations. And then alternatives 3, both 3A and 3B contemplated, a bridge across the river to make a connection to the other side in some other way that doesn't utilize the Railroad Street Bridge and doesn't utilize sort of that connection. So thinking a little bit about where the opportunities could be for that bridge connection and maybe more of like a trail connection to Route 15 and ultimately to downtown. And just to step through these a little bit, we can certainly go into detail. There is a draft report if folks want to dig in more deeply or ask any questions about this, but just at a very high level, alternative 1, again, was a minimal treatment option. It was really looking at enhancing the gateway sort of at the trail connection with Railroad Street, rebuilding the sidewalk, a shared lane marking and sign package along the corridor, some gateway signage at the connection to Route 15 at the intersection of Railroad Street and Route 15, and access management sort of in the immediate area by the trail on the south end of Railroad Street. Alternatives 2A and 2B really contemplated 2 different ideas for what a shared use path along the Railroad Street corridor could look like. And so in that case, looking at sort of 2 different options, but generally carrying, a shared use path on the east side of Railroad Street along the current sidewalk configuration. And then on the next couple of slides, I'll just show you a little bit of detail on sort of the differences between 2A and 2B and the impacts of those. But generally, it's, rethinking the cross-section of Railroad Street to include a shared use path as opposed to a sidewalk connection along the corridor. And 2A was really contemplating an 8-foot path basically from the front of existing sidewalk back, so some impacts to the right of way, some trees and slope impacts in terms of that option. And then 2B was actually contemplating an 8-foot shared use path that would move towards the roadway, narrowing the roadway for vehicular traffic, making it a little more of a narrow shared street as opposed to the 20 to 22 feet that's out there today. And then alternatives 3A contemplated a bridge to Westcombe Road. So really thinking about connecting sort of existing town parcels and existing town resources, and also connecting the community that's in the sort of Westcombe Road area, more formidably to the trail, more formidably to the town resources in terms of the park, and then to downtown as well. And then 3B, the other bridge alternative was looking at potentially connecting via some of the buyout parcels, So really thinking through where the opportunity could be for a trail bridge that would connect closer to downtown than 3A. But with the challenges of utilizing the FEMA buyout parcels. So we took those options and beat them up a little bit and thought about, the impacts of each of those options, what they entailed, what the costs would be, what the sort of directness to downtown would look like in terms of that connection between the trail and the village resources, and put that all into an evaluation matrix, which you're seeing on the slide on the screen here. Don't expect you to be able to read all the fine detail there, but sort of at a high level, some of the things we were contemplating, really thinking about, the direct and intuitive sort of connection between the trail and downtown, facilitating, that connection for other user types, not just folks that are walking, not just folks that are biking, but thinking about some of the other uses of the trail and how we might connect folks into the village. With that, we brought all of those ideas to another public meeting. In this case, we presented all of these alternatives and the evaluation that went along with them. And ultimately, we were hearing sort of a couple of main themes. One was that Railroad Street, is sort of that intuitive and most direct connection. And so what can we do to enhance that roadway without totally changing the cross section of that facility? By cross section, I mean, not sort of upending and changing things to have a shared use path or anything like that, but really making it more of a calm street that folks feel comfortable utilizing to make that connection. So first thing we were hearing, support for Railroad Street and enhancements there, support for the access management, especially in the immediate vicinity of the trail. There are some challenges in terms of big driveway cuts and sort of lack of intuitive connection directly from the trail to the sidewalk network. So really trying to close that gap and create a gateway treatment at that location. So it's intuitive for folks on the trail that, the village is just down the road. Come check it out and spend your dollars. We heard there's really not the appetite for a shared use path along the corridor at this point, but would want to see, retaining on-road facilities to be able to get folks that are biking along that corridor, and just recognizing sort of low volumes. Are there things we can do to sort of calm the street and make it feel welcoming for those folks? And then acceptable sidewalk condition is generally what we found when we were out there and took a look in terms of the condition of the facility, but recognizing that, it is a pretty narrow facility and eventually likely will need to be, maintained or replaced. And so what would it entail to widen that to a 6-foot facility? And then the bridge to Westcom Road was the other sort of alternative that we were hearing the most support for. So, looking at the trail connection between the Old Mill Park and Westcom Road neighborhood, recognizing the opportunity in terms of those are both town-owned parcels, don't come with all the challenges of, trying to build a bridge on a FEMA buyout parcel, no real right-of-way impacts that, with the other bridge option, we would have been looking to gain at least an easement along one property. So, some of the challenges that came with the other alternative weren't there for the Westcom Road Bridge. And really connecting, for multiple user types in terms of that sort of spur trail experience, but also really recognizing the opportunity to connect town resources between those two locations. So ultimately, we're back here at the alternatives evaluation framework and determined that we should be refining and advancing alternative 1 in some of its components, as well as alternative 3A, the bridge between Old Mill Park and Westcom Road. And so that really landed us at a preferred alternative. And when we got back to the drawing board in terms of what elements to incorporate and sort of really thinking strategically about the phasing or potential implementation plan of those components, we looked at sort of a phasing opportunity in terms of really focusing energy on that first section of Railroad Street to make that enhanced connection and gateway for folks that are on the trail to recognize that there are many opportunities just up the street to come into town and check things out. And so really focusing phase one on that connection and that gateway experience, the access management, and then phase two, really enhancing the rest of Railroad Street and just recognizing the opportunities there and some of the challenges with that facility today. And then phase three is focused in on the Westcom Road Trail Bridge. So for implementation, like I said, you know, here on Railroad Street, really the refinements to alternative one that we were finding supported by the public, we were carrying forward. We really wanted a phased approach that had those immediate treatments sort of in the vicinity of the trail first, and then really improve that intuitive and most direct connection to downtown. The trail bridge between Old Mill Park and Westcom Road, again, you know, trying to leverage the fact that the town owns land on both sides, and recognizing that there are other ongoing efforts to make a stronger connection between Westcom Road and downtown along the Route 15 corridor, recognizing that that process is sort of, you know, ticking up and carrying through. You know, we recognize the opportunity of that spur trail system eventually being able to connect along Route 15 as well, with, you know, whatever is the preferred alternative out of the bicycle and pedestrian scoping project that's kicked off fairly recently. And this is just a little bit more of a detailed look at phase one. So this is really, again, focused on that first segment of Railroad Street, sort of south of the bridge, between the trail and the bridge. And it's really focused on enhancing that connection, defining the driveways along the south side and into the parcel there. You know, carrying a sidewalk connection through a flush sidewalk connection through the defined driveways, just so that visual cue for folks recognizing that there's a facility there and an opportunity to come down Railroad Street and get into downtown. So you know, full details in the report, and certainly happy to answer questions at the end. But you know, the other things that this contemplates is really creating sort of that shared experience along the roadway corridor. So, you know, signage package, shared lane markings, making sure we're keeping up with maintaining those so that it's clear to folks that are driving there that this is a shared space in a shared facility. The other thing to note here in terms of the cost estimate and some of the elements that we carried forward is for the other portion of Railroad Street. This phase one treatment does do a couple of things, really focused on some of the real challenges for that shared space along the rest of the roadway corridor. Simple things like lifting the stormwater inlet height so that and making those adjustments so that those aren't such a hazard for folks that are on bike. So just a couple of, you know, cost estimates and include some of those elements to sort of enhance those roadway features and just make sure that we're carrying that shared roadway experience all the way up Railroad Street. For phase two, then we really focus in on the northern section. So this phase two alternative contemplates replacing the sidewalk system with a 6-foot wide sidewalk. So we're holding the outer edge of the sidewalk, so the sort of back of sidewalk, moving the sidewalk a foot closer to the roadway, and then reestablishing a curb line that sort of in places has disappeared over time. So really reestablishing that curb line, making it you know, a tight street with a defined edge so that it does actually feel like more of a constrained space in a shared roadway. The other thing that this alternative contemplates and is one of the biggest cost drivers is implementing some of the stormwater planning that has been done for Railroad Street. So really enhancing, the conveyance of water along that corridor. And I know that's been a challenge for that corridor and is a priority for the community. And so making sure that we're addressing that. And there are likely some opportunities for funding mechanisms like TAP grants to be able to do some of that work. So really contemplating that as part and parcel to the enhancements in phase 2. And then, mill and overlay the roadway, shared lane markings all the way along, signage package to make sure folks are aware that it's meant to be a shared space. And then this is just showing the second segment closer into the intersection with Route 15. And again, just carrying through the shared lane markings, carrying that 6-foot sidewalk section all the way through to downtown. And then in terms of the recommended preferred alternative, phase 3 would be the long-term option, which would be contemplating that bridge connection between Old Mill Park and Westcom Road. And this recognizes this is sort of a short spur that would create a recreational path connection between sort of the resources on both sides, but recognizes that, it's likely that something will progress out of the other scoping effort to improve connections between Westcom Road and downtown along 15. So opportunities for a loop or a further spur may come as part of that process. And then in terms of evaluation, again, this is all, in the draft report. So I won't belabor the conversation here, but we did look at, for each of the phases, what are the local and regional considerations? Does it satisfy the need? Is it sort of enhancing community character? Does it align with regional and local plans, et cetera, et cetera? Transportation considerations, really thinking about, does it improve our bike safety and connectivity, pedestrian safety and connectivity, vehicular safety and connectivity? And then resource impacts, really not until we're in phase 3 with the bridge. Are there some more formidable resource impacts that we just need to be considering in terms of the permitting process and what it takes to get a project like that built? But generally, we're working within, the existing sort of built environment for the other options. So really pretty minimal in terms of resource impacts and permitting needs. So we looked at all of those and tried to lay out some detail on that just so that, we know what we're expecting when we're getting into each of those phases of this effort. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions folks have, if there are details that we want to dig into. Otherwise, my next slide will be a request for action from this body to hopefully endorse the preferred alternative and implementation plan so that we can continue forward and hopefully get some of these elements designed and constructed.
Well, I'll go first. Question about the Railroad Street part. If I understood the report correctly and understood you correctly, you're contemplating moving the sidewalk, expanding it 1 foot towards the road. And then the bike lane, is there an established bike lane on the roadway or is there not?
So with the width of the roadway, with the volumes that we have, with the posted speed, we were really thinking it would be a shared space. So really trying to instead sort of establish that curb line, that narrow roadway, and create more of like a shared space for vehicles and bikes.
No.
So not a striped bike lane.
So I guess my question is, why widen the sidewalk? Why not try to grab that extra foot or foot and a half or whatever it is, make that non-bike lane, bike lane a little bit wider?
It's a great question. One of the things that we do by borrowing that foot in the direction of taking it from the roadway, and establishing that curb line as we effectively are narrowing the street for vehicular traffic too. So that constraining feeling, I think, helps to convey to particularly vehicles and drivers that this is a narrow roadway, operate slowly, and then, with all of the signage and markings, really establishing that it's meant to be a shared space.
In your experience, a painted bike lane doesn't do the same thing? My concern is is also constraining the bikes and the vehicles.
I hear you there. So for a bike lane, for us to be able to stripe a bike lane, we really need technically 4 feet, but really preferably 5 feet. And so to stripe a bike lane and just in one direction, we could do that and have really narrow shared, vehicular lanes. But there's really not, without widening so far that we have established bike lanes on both sides and two-way vehicular traffic. It's really tricky to get the space we need to be able to do that in this corridor. It's a pretty constrained environment.
Not having the bikes run into each other
Or the vehicles.
or the vehicles.
Railroad Street is tight enough as it is, without taking another foot up.
This may slow traffic down.
Yeah. In a perfect world.
Yep. So you're looking for action on the report so you could continue with design.
Yeah, so really, our scope with this report is pretty wrapped up. But what next steps would entail, at least in terms of the proposed implementation plan that we put forth, is really for the community and hopefully a vocal champion to take on the next steps, which would be really to find funding for design and construction of that first phase in the short term. And so, that's the ultimate aim here, is to continue to progress each of these elements forward into the next phase of design and construction.
Mr. Chairman, I think we had a question.
Yeah, I was letting the board say their piece. I saw you, Jan.
I just had a concern about curb, how high is the curb?
Typical curb reveal is somewhere in the 6-inch range.
Worried about danger. That's falling off. What do you do that curb?
You're about 15 years late. I researched all this, at one point in time, the actual.
That's what happens.
Pretty much had a Bailey Bridge all bought, and then of course. Our lovely state got flooded, and Bailey Bridges were.
You get back to 50 questions.
We were being put it over there across, like west of home here.
Yep.
We used to have a. Snowmobile club had a. Suspension bridge there for years, and of course the flood took it out, and we were looking at different things, and. I even had the price of the bridge, that the rail trail across the bypass in North Soul. Unfortunately, all that stuff went away with the flood of 23, so unfortunately, I don't have any of that data anymore, but, the other thing we looked at was adding onto the Railroad Street Bridge, making it a little bit wider, because obviously it's pretty narrow. I don't think you could put two bikes side by side on that bridge. The other issue I would have going down the sidewalk is the water mains under that side of the road. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but that could be a problematic situation, maybe someday down the road. But I like your years. And like I said, I spent a lot of years on the rail trail. I thought it would never ever gonna happen in my lifetime, because at one point in time, Bass had like $9 million. I don't know if everybody's even aware of that. We had the money to build a rail trail, and then we had to fight Act 250. And it was the most agonizing thing I've ever watched in my life. Cause it just took all our money away, and that's why we handed it over to the state back 2 years ago. Because we just couldn't afford to do it anymore. It was costing us way too much money. But, you know, that's my 2 cents. And I'd love to talk to you if you wanna ever call me or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate that.
Does the board have further questions?
Yeah, first off, thanks so much for the work you've done. It's really great. It's really great to try to figure out solutions to bring more bikers off the rail trail and into our downtown area. I'm in favor of the preferred alternative with the bike lane. Something I would really like to see is some kind of way to pave it differently. I've driven on roads with bike lanes that have maybe like a kind of green, like turf kind of, not turf, but like a green asphalt kind of texture to it. And it just gives more visual cues to drivers that this is a bike lane, you shouldn't drive over it all, and maybe like some safety kind of those little short sticky upper things. um but some more visual cues like that to even more increase uh visual cues, so that were you able to look at that at all in your research?
Yeah, so I think this relates to Paul's question about sort of defining those spaces a little bit differently. I think with the width that we have, it's pretty challenging to be able to establish, you know, painted bike lanes that are that 5 foot of dedicated width to
Mhm.
bikes. Unfortunately, it's a great opportunity for what we call advisory lanes, but we are, per our standards, no longer allowed. There's sort of an experimental treatment that has gone away. So you may see occasionally in places where they've painted like a dashed line for a bike lane, which gives that idea that you can pass someone who's in the bike lane. But you know, those advisory lanes have generally gone away and out of practice. And so, you know, the idea here that we ended up carrying forward is really trying to make that a slow and shared street, so that, you know, bikes are mixing with vehicles. It's a pretty low volume street. So, you know, not a ton of vehicles going by that are in conflict, recognizing that there still, you know, is opposing traffic, and you know, there's always going to be folks that don't, you know, drive based on the context. But generally we've found that, you know, constraining the street, making it a little bit narrower, creating that shared space and lots of visual cues that it's meant to be a shared space, tends to have the effect of getting everyone to slow down and think a little bit more about where they're driving and how they're operating.
So you're saying it wouldn't have a bike lane at all? It would just bring the curb out more and then put in these painted bike symbols on here to say you could drive on the street with the cars?
Yep.
Okay.
Cheryl's.
Okay. Yeah, I want a bike lane.
Peter?
Just want to go back to the narrowing. I've heard that, you know, a lot of people have the idea that narrowing slows traffic, which can sometimes be an issue on that street. And that, you know, I think anytime I've said it, it's kind of, people are kind of skeptical of that. So I assume there's been some pretty serious research as to the impact of narrowing.
Yeah, and so I believe that in our database of basically where we house that research and look at something called a crash modification factor. So it's actually the safety data out of the back end of the process. As you narrow the street, the crash reduction opportunity increases. So, you have fewer crashes as you sort of narrow the street and create more of a shared street. I can't quote those numbers off the top of my head, but there is a sort of a database and repository of those sort of what we call safety countermeasures that has done that research and quantified what that impact can be.
Can't remember if I saw somewhere this report, a traffic count. Was there ever a traffic study done on Railroad Street to know how many cars a day?
I believe we're at about 1,000 AADT, which is annual average daily traffic along the corridor. But don't quote me. I do believe that data is in the report.
Thanks.
No problem.
Eric,
Narrowing part of our discussion is some of the working with you. We're talking about sometimes trucks come along, seems pretty tight right now. And one thing that you guys brought out was that on the side of Railroad Street towards the Guyon River, that would not have a curb, a high curb. So vehicles or trucks could pull over onto the sort of grassy section there a bit to make more room to get by. And I assume that could by cars, they feel uncomfortable with another rig coming towards them. So that would help mitigate that at least some.
you guys good?
With the Westcombe Bridge, since that like puts bikers pretty far from, or
Village Center.
yeah, is there concern about that at all? Like them having that being like such a long route to get down to the village?
Yeah, so recognizing that it is not the most direct connection to downtown. But I think that bridge connection accomplishes a few things. First, it creates a opportunity for sort of a recreational spur, right? So an opportunity for folks to go and experience the skate park and some of the other resources that are on the other side of the river. It also effectively connects a neighborhood that right now is pretty isolated from downtown and doesn't have a safe way unless they're walking on the very narrow shoulder of Route 15 to get to downtown. So in the interim, before there is a more formidable connection for those folks, it does actually connect them via Railroad Street to downtown as well. So thinking about it as sort of, yes, a recreational opportunity and a spur for the trail and for the town resources in terms of the parks and opportunities. But it also serves that community to be able to make that connection to the park and then, via Railroad Street to downtown that they don't have today. So even though it feels a little unintuitive, given where it falls in proximity to downtown, we felt that was an important component to carry forward.
Okay.
Kim?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One might actually be for the board. I'm wondering who's responsible for the stormwater rates that are on the road.
One thing that I was going to mention was just ownership of infrastructure. We don't own the sidewalks or the stormwater or the sewer or the water infrastructure. And railroad, not going to speak for the village here, but the infrastructure is aging. Also, it was all built on clay and it's concrete. It wasn't too long ago, we were actually talking about the village and the town both independently applying for a class 2 paving grant so that we could rebuild the road, but the village could rebuild the infrastructure. And I mean, I was just going to mention that in closing remarks because a future board should keep that in mind if we're rebuilding Railroad Street. But also, if we were to widen a sidewalk a foot, I can't say that the village would say yes or no if we got the grant, but they own it. So they might say they don't want the extra sidewalk width. I don't know.
And that's attached to the question, and I heard you mention grants of availability, and I'm wondering if there was anything really specific that was, pinpointed to be able to hand it to the village trustees or hand it to the select board to say, here's the grants for, for these different items, for the stormwater, for the sidewalk, for the roads.
Yeah, so this is definitely a topic that internally we had a lot of conversation around. And so, with Railroad Street being a very high priority for the community in terms of the stormwater infrastructure and that investment, and certainly the opportunity to enhance the connection for bike and pedestrian access. I think the TAP grant, which is Transportation Alternatives Program grant funds, they cap at $750,000. But in terms of the stormwater component, certainly could be a good avenue for the stormwater component of that project. They have sort of a couple of offshoots. One is really transportation alternative focus, so bike and pedestrian enhancements. One is really stormwater and environmental improvement components. So that could be a really good fit for the stormwater piece. Similarly, it could be a good fit for bike and pedestrian improvements, especially the compelling case between downtown and the trail.
Out of all the things, everyone in this room probably knows the most hazardous thing to be biking on Railroad Street are those streets.
Yeah.
For someone who's not paying attention to, that's stuff.
Yeah, and to that point, that is why we included at least a inlet height adjustment for some of those, particularly some of those most hazardous ones. And a couple of improvements to sort of spot pavement improvements to some of the driveway and roadway aprons as well along that stretch in phase one. So we accounted for that in that phase one cost estimate to do some of those spot treatments and make those improvements in the interim. And then recognizing that, getting grant funding and progressing these projects along does take time, which is why we sort of had that phase one short term. That's the stuff to do sooner rather than later. And then, really get into what phase two could look like in a, 5-year time horizon, phase three in a 5 to 10.
With respect to the phase three, A and B, the costs were pretty much the same between the two. And is that because for alternative 3A just contemplated the bridge and then stopped?
I'm not recalling off the top of my head. I might have to jump back to that evaluation matrix, but then I hopefully can shed a little bit of light. So
There's a much longer run on 15, obviously, with 3A.
yeah, so that is contemplating some of those improvements, pavement marking, signage, et cetera, along with 3A.
But is it assuming sort of some of the money would come from that other study that's currently underway, we talked about?
Yeah, so we did not have awareness that was getting kicked off until after we had developed the alternatives and the evaluation. So I did have a chance to talk to Jackie LeBlanc about that project, and she's the consultant spearheading that. And was able to just gain an understanding of some of the options that they're contemplating for that study. And so when we got to the implementation plan, that's when we sort of decided that our piece would be the bridge connection, and then let that process determine what the alternative and cost estimating should be for sort of making the complete loop in the Vermont 15 connection.
Okay, so to be clear, 3A, as it's written, does not include any major improvements to Route 15 back into town.
So the cost estimate for the alternative 3A does have a with Vermont 15 very high level planning level cost estimate. When we got to the implementation plan, phase 3 does not include those improvements in the cost estimate. Does that make some sense?
No idea what you just said.
So in the alternatives, we were not aware that that was progressing until after the alternatives evaluation. So in the report, our alternatives 3A and 3B still have some of those improvements to Route 15 included in the cost estimate and included in sort of the scope of those alternatives. But when we got to the implementation plan, phase 3, or the long-term phase of our implementation plan, only really contemplates the connection between Old Mill Park and Westcom Road. And it doesn't carry sort of the improvements all the way along a loop to Vermont 15.
Okay, thank you. So back to alternative one.
Mhm.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around narrowing Railroad Street without some sort of definition of a bike lane. And you said the experimental lanes, or I'm not sure what wording you use, have gone away. Is that by statute, by V-Trans practice, or by?
So they were allowed via the manual for uniform traffic control devices in previous iterations, but with the latest standard that was issued, they've taken them away. So basically, the standards that we have to follow as traffic and transportation engineers, that would actually draw up those plans and stamp them, we are not allowed to use that treatment anymore.
So unless we have 5 feet, that's a no-go. Is that
Correct.
okay?
I mean, you could contemplate a striped bike lane in one direction, but you would end up with even narrower lanes along that facility for your vehicular traffic to move in 2 directions. So, we're talking about narrowing by 1 foot. We'd be talking about narrowing by 4 feet in that case, which is a pretty narrow 2-way facility.
Yeah. You're going to 4 feet to spare. Diana, go.
I wonder if there could be, like generously permissible signage for the sidewalk area that would be widened to invite bicyclists to dismount and walk. Something so that there'd be an alternative to people who felt like it was unsafe to proceed on bike in the roadway without a separate lane. Could we consider how the sidewalk portion of that is used? And I know we don't want e-bikes zipping down it and probably snowmobiles zipping down it, but I could imagine, a family with littles, or somebody on a skateboard, or somebody on a bike that might otherwise feel like, I don't know, I'm not really walking on the sidewalk. I don't really feel safe on the road. Where am I supposed to go? Maybe we could make the sidewalks more, I don't know, just like let people know you really can go on the sidewalk too. You don't have to go in this narrow road.
Currently, parents do use the sidewalk, though, but when you have little kids on little bikes or
Right.
pulling them in white, that's where they are.
Yeah, and maybe we could just, I don't know, especially if it's getting a foot wider. It seems like that's a share zone too. Have one share zone in the roadway for fast things and a share zone on the sidewalk for slower things.
Which issue?
Sidewalks will be a fun conversation. Yes,
I'm certain of the villages, like Evan was, about the village's participation in this. The goal was to roll this out as quickly as we could, because with the establishment of the rail trail, people are establishing patterns of usage. So the benefit for our community is somewhat dependent on getting off the ground on this, and Railroad Street, in spite of everything else, is probably the best alternative for that. I looked at the report. I like all the reports except the preferred future alternative. I think that that's contrary to the to the goal of bringing people into the village. I don't think it was designed to, the purpose of this grant application was to connect other attractions in the community or to displace, or to provide the people who, I went to Harlem Lumber years and years ago and said, let's get a sidewalk out there. Let's get these people. You're treating them like second-class citizens, you know, but nevertheless, I don't think the reason for this, for this grant application is to take people out to the other attractions. And I don't think it will work. I don't think that people will choose that. And I would suggest that you move ahead with the preferred alternative of Railroad Street, one of those options, and that you defer to see, you may have future options down the road with buyout properties, or you can see how things work out. Or do they extend the sidewalk out to Western Road, things like that.
Okay. This is a scoping study you're looking for approval on. We're not applying for a grant.
You are not applying for a grant. It's simply to have this documentation so that when you do go to apply for grants in the next phase, you know, this body has already sort of given it a seal of approval and gives you the ammunition to go after those grant applications pretty seamlessly.
Thank you for this report. It's very thorough, and nicely laid out, and great graphics, so very nicely done.
Thank you.
Ask for your action now.
Hey, so we are looking to endorse the proposed preferred alternative. It includes the components that we discussed: short-term Railroad Street with the LVRT connection focus on the south side of the Railroad Street Bridge. Medium term, really focusing on Railroad Street enhancements north of the bridge, with the exception of some of those smaller improvements to stormwater infrastructure. And then the long-term component of the Westcom Road Trail Bridge.
That's very detailed. Could I get a motion to accept the report as presented or with amendment?
I would move that we accept the report as presented with the caveat that we endorse the short-term goal in the immediate term, and we reserve judgment on the medium and long-term pending future. I think
By endorse, you mean?
well, I
Sorry,
think we should accept the report, but I don't think by accepting it, we should say we're endorsing definitively the long-term goal, for example, for Westcomb Bridge. But, so I would say we accept the report and endorse the short-term goal for improvements in Railroad Street and the connection.
okay,
That's perfect, Paul, because this has been dropped on us this evening and we're expected to do something and this covers the base.
is there a second to the motion?
I'll say.
All right, is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi,
All those opposed, and the ayes have it.
Excellent.
Karen, thank you.
Thank
I feel
you.
like there should have been
Thank you.
fireworks. It was so detailed, and I know it was more. Thank you very much. I don't know if you want to plug the laptops, Gary.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We already did. It was in the consent agenda. We're good.
You good?
I don't know. Let's see how many questions you get.
I don't have a lot of questions. You mean how many questions
Do you
I
have
might
questions
get?
for us?
I do not.
All right.
I,
So the board received Gary's final report.
yeah,
What would the board like to say? Questions, comments? Excuse me? We do still have a meeting going on. Conversations are great. Could we just move to another room, please?
won't be offended if you all leave.
I'm a low talker, Carrie. I got somebody beside me that can't hear me.
All right.
He does. I sit right beside him, even when my hearing aids turned up. I keep my.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do have some comments, but solid report. I like the amendments that you made. I think mine are super minor. But I'll let the rest of the board have it first. If they want it. Started with Paul last time. I'm looking towards Adrian.
Did you want to point anything out for this second round or?
I mean, I really love the interaction that we had. This is a really responsive board. You did your homework, so I love that. And I tried to be responsive to what you asked. Go into it. So, yeah, I'll kind of exhausted a lot with another conversation. I hope you're awake now.
They go that way sometimes.
I know they do, absolutely, once I realized what you guys are discussing. So I'll wait for your questions and comments, and see how it goes.
I think mine are more, just question, not even necessarily on context, like in section 3. The first 2 paragraphs, you know. Duplication of roles, conflicts, period, and then it says Johnson staff. I don't like understand why that's there.
Oh, could be a mistake.
I would just
Section 3.
Strike that. I mean, this is gonna be the public's report.
Absolutely. So section 3, which is on page 2, which paragraph?
The last 2 words in the first 2 paragraphs. See what?
Oh, yes, yes. So
Johnson staff.
that is a reference. I tried to delete some of them because I thought they were confusing, but that is where I got some of that information.
Okay, so could
Right,
you
so-
just say like information provided by Johnson staff or something?
I can, yeah.
Like I said, it's not even context. It's just, it
Right,
confused me.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
it's just
a board member 10 years from now is gonna be reading it and going,
What does that mean?
what is this?
Yeah. No, that's what that means, and that's why it's at the end of the second paragraph.
And
But it's not consistent.
the paragraph that begins with Public Works. It reads Public Works or full-time road crew plus a supervisor with an additional 5th position. It's 3 full-time,
With
with
a
a
supervisor,
supervisor.
correct.
so it kind of, it looks almost like there's 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then adding.
the fifth, the second half of that sentence, is that accurate?
You could strike that.
You had funded it for the current year though, correct?
It is funded,
For
right?
this year.
Okay, it's not authorized though.
No,
we
but it's
haven't
budgeted.
Maybe budgeted would be a better word than authorized. Good, we haven't
Good point.
made that decision.
Budgeted.
Yeah. The next comment I had was on page 3. And it's just under currently. It says the town administrator supervises. Public Works, rec. But the town administrator does not supervise the CE. DS currently. Just trying to paint the accurate current picture, snapshot in time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying anything's bad. I am the only one with things rattling in my head. Somebody else could jump in here.
Well, you mentioned that,
Paragraph above that, there's also the Johnson staff.
Yep.
Saying out there, well, yeah, the community economic development should be struck from there.
in our current flow, the town administrator doesn't supervise our public works supervisor, right?
Not necessarily, but like. As the road commissioner, kind of historically, it's just a report up through.
So is that what that means, is as town contract?
Overseas?
Sure.
It's a free for all now.
I'm looking for info from the board here.
Your appendix G doesn't really. If you look at that, how do you get a 5th employee?
You skipped to page 9.
Yeah, I did. Skip page
Alright.
9. You know, because we were kind of talking about it on page 2. So I want to go to appendix G. Now you take all these other municipalities, you take, Cambridge has 3 employees, 63 miles. Highgate, 3 employees, 68. Hyde Park, 5 with 74.
Mhm.
4 with 50 for Johnson, 4 with 74 for Rockingham, and 3 for 27. I don't see a justification for a 5th employee there. Really, I don't.
Yeah, he stated that at the last meeting. I do know that going forward, Hyde Park is seriously considering a six person.
Well, that's their problem. Really. If they wanna have 6 people, that's their.
Well, the RFP was pretty specific on asking for comparisons.
Correct. So you can.
I
do
hear you, it is Hyde Park's issue, they could hire 12.
Right.
Well, I think to Mike's point, back on page 4, if we can jump around, under the comparative analysis, which is talking about the same issue.
Mhm.
The last sentence says that everybody in public work staffing for FTE for 50 miles is at or slightly below appears supporting a case for the 5th FTE. That doesn't really make sense. If we're at or below, how does that support
Where,
another person?
are you on number 6 on page 4?
No, I'm number 4 on page
Number
4.
4 on page.
Oh, okay.
Your town
Very last
average.
sentence. It says our,
Correct.
you're saying the same thing Mike was saying on the graph, that we've
Mhm.
got less miles for the same number of employees, and we're saying that supports the case for another FTE, which it really doesn't. It may be that we need another one, but
Mhm.
based on the miles, you can't really say that, I don't think.
It's true. It's less on the miles and more on the vulnerability and the continuity of services. If one of your very critical 4 members is ill or sick or hurt.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I'm not
Yeah.
disputing that, but I think
Okay.
based
fair.
it on the miles is not.
You're asking for a little bit more clarity there. No,
Well,
just,
I'm saying you can't say it's based on miles.
right,
You
Yeah, I
said
see what
elsewhere in the report that it's important for continuity and
Mhm.
services.
Is it fair to say our vulnerability is the same as the other towns compared in that chart?
Well, yes, you're kind of in the middle. Thought I had put that in as a comment, but that's why I mentioned the Hyde Park thing. If they actually do add that, then their miles per person drops below Johnson's, so it
Mhm.
kind of put you in the middle. So it's still. I'm not trying to intentionally walk the fence, but I think you have a case for hiring that 5th position soon, given the requirements that towns now have to operate under. I mean, that's part of my, some of the questions I did ask the employees, can they take vacations when they choose to, when they're basically allowed to, right, in the summertime, not any winter time, and that is generally something that every public works department struggles with. As soon as the grass starts growing, we have to get our projects done, but you have limited time. You have people that are like, hey, I've got 7 months of, not,
CPL.
well, I don't know what you call it, so I hesitated, but, you need a little bit of work-life balance so that you don't have people, looking for another community where they can get that, like, hey, I want to take a week's vacation with my family. I haven't been able to take one here, or
It'd have been actually nice to have seen Morrisville in this, appendix G.
Yes, Morrisville, though, I think might skew it a little.
I don't think so. I think it would probably maybe, help my position that we do not need 5 employees.
They have more employees. I mean,
But they have a lot more miles too.
More than
right,
double.
but they have a lot of miles, both in the village and the town.
Yeah, and they also handle sidewalks.
Yeah, and then miles of sidewalk. When I was.
But you have a village crew and you have a town crew,
Mhm.
which is different.
It is, and that's why I didn't know if that would be a fair comparison for you guys.
We have a village crew, we have a town crew.
I was specifically asked to study the town.
I understand,
and-
but they do have a town for more stuff.
Yes.
Well, this is fair. We asked for your opinion, so thank you for those.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
it's
have-
fine. I've been doing this for many years. It's okay.
I have a different question on item 7, also on page 4. The fourth item says, consider a part-time HR/administrative assistant to support personnel records and compliance. I guess my question is, who are you envisioning that person supporting? Are they supporting the town administrator? Are they supporting the existing office staff downstairs? Are they?
I
What-
believe, I mean, I know some communities are doing this, a little of both, but basically, onboarding someone who has separation benefits.
I'm sorry, what? Say that again?
I think that person would support the town administrator, but also anyone who's coming on board, who gets hired. Maybe the town administrator is, it sounds like they have a lot on their shoulders, so this would ensure that you have someone who's dedicated to those kind of services, but it doesn't have to be a full-time person. It doesn't even have to be a hired town employee. It could be a consultant you hire for 10 hours a week, a month or something like that. Some communities do that to get that HR professional to weigh in on things as needed, but maybe you don't need that at all.
We're certainly not Stowe, that's for sure. We don't have the kind of money to throw around for all kinds of help.
Correct.
did that answer your question, Paul?
Yes, sort of. I guess my question would be,
Yeah.
what was the source of that information?
That one came from analysis of just kind of looking at the overall structure, and I got somewhat concerned that, well, one, that a lot of the information should flow through the town administrator, and two, should that person not be here, maybe they want to take a 2-month, 2-week vacation, who can pick that up, the slack, who can do that? Can't just ask everyone to do that with the, sensitive information. I feel a lot less strongly about that one than I do after, because we don't have that position, obviously, but. And I was also thinking forward as you're hiring someone. I don't know if you've already done that, but, not everyone is an expert in personnel. It can take intermittently a decent amount of your time when you have other things you have to get done.
Okay, thank you.
Fair enough. Page 8.
Yes.
Would it be easy to just nix the whole top graph, or should we have it reworked as his actual current?
Well, we could nix it if you'd like. This is a picture of what I received as a possibility of what you currently have.
Right.
Which, it's not approved though, so. I'm not sure.
Well, like what we currently have is 4 things reporting to the select board, not 2. It's weird, totally.
Well, that's what this shows. It
Yeah.
is.
What page is
But-
that?
This is not in the report. This is something I received.
From Adrian.
That's the one I made with the. employees.
Yeah, that was a template. It was a draft, which does accurately depict it. I guess it's difficult. I guess the point, I should go back to the very beginning of studying this is that if it works for you, then I can delete that and we can move forward. This is difficult to manage. That's what some of that, difficult to manage from the personnel's point of view and the select board's point of view, because there's like a 5-headed.
Definitely. That's why it's kind of illustrating the current system is not working.
Yeah,
That's what I'd like
Yeah.
to show, kind of, but
yeah, I don't
See.
okay. disagree. I was just saying like some of,
Right, this says it's current.
there should be
personnel.
more things in the middle column and less things in the right column for the
Okay.
current structure. I totally understand the proposed
Okay,
reorganization.
so what it should have, this one has road foreman, community and economic development, town administrator, and town clerk treasurer.
Yeah,
And I couldn't read what was in the middle.
Hmm.
Do you remember?
me.
Oh,
Dir-
directives.
Directives.
The
Okay.
town administrator gives the public works supervisor directives, but they're still under the select board.
Oh, okay,
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
okay.
So I
So I mean,
get,
I can make
I get the
it,
restructure, it's just what's currently drawn is not.
that's easy, once I figured out how to do the bubbles, which I wanted this, but it just wouldn't go in my system that I have in my office, so we can add them. Add those two other boxes. I probably won't put the directives box in there, but
So but with your, are you done? You guys got a question?
I was just gonna make a comment about page 6, but
Well,
On page
Page
8,
8, though, so to be clear, the only direct report to town administrator currently is the recreation coordinator.
as a direct report, yeah.
That's it. So all the other boxes have to be.
yeah, that's fine.
Just the
It's-
lines have to be redrawn.
Yeah.
Well, once you move them, you can move them back and
Oh, that's
forth.
cool.
Yeah, it is not bad, actually. The geek in me was like, oh, that's kind of slick. Because I'd done something like this before, but it was clunkier.
for your proposed organizational chart, you do think that the town administrator should be sole report, even over assistant clerk as well? Or should assistant clerk be under town clerk?
That's a fair point. It probably should be under town clerk treasurer,
Okay,
but I didn't know, as you restructure a little bit, is that person going to only be the assistant clerk, or are they gonna be the assistant to other people?
hmm
So that's something you can experience and be fluid and adjust as it works, right? You're in a unique position to explore that without worrying about anybody's position.
okay.
Do you have any comments on that, Rosemary?
Tom and I talked about that a little bit. Since town clerk and treasurer is just a regular employee now. Correct?
Yes.
You are way more than a regular employee. to
Right.
me.
In the scheme of things.
In the scheme of things, just a regular employee. Mhm.
Yeah, they're an appointed position. But do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is fine.
You think town clerk, town treasurer should be under town administrator or? Yeah, okay.
So you're happy with the bottom?
Yeah.
Chart?
Yeah.
That's good.
Nobody wants to upset Rosemary.
If you're happy, we're happy.
More from the board? I only had a generalized comment, I didn't have anything else. Are these edits too much to ask for? Like, I think they're just getting.
I can do
clarity.
these and I'll just send them back to you.
Yeah, I don't think you need to come back to another
Right.
meeting unless I am so joyful to be.
Oh, yes, I know, right, you are, that's it, definitely. You're very-
Have to come back for another drilling.
There is a.
No, it's fine.
possibility.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why
I
we
can- I
keep
can
going.
email it back.
That's why Peter keeps.
That's why we keep coming.
It's the
back.
red
Yeah.
shirt.
It is, it's nice. Holiday. Holiday color for sure. No, it's not too much and it wasn't much of a grill. I want you to be happy with it and at least be able to use it going forward. Whatever fits your style.
I would like to point out,
Yes.
because our grand list stinks so much is why our tax rate is so high.
Okay.
We have a low grand list. And I don't know if you checked my math or not from PVNR, but the equalized tax rate, we're no longer median, we're up there. And I don't know what's going on with Rockingham. They have some sort of agreement with Bellows Falls. It's an incorporated village inside them. And I don't know why West Rutland has such cheap emergency services, but
Yeah, she did. I actually talked to the manager there too. To really expand on.
Could be some sort of agreement.
Hmm.
Been there a while.
Really not huge. I think on page 9. The rec programming budget and the rec salary budget, at least I know for Johnson, are reversed.
Oh, did I do that?
So like you have the recreation salary budget for Johnson at 16.3.
It's 4455. Oh,
I could double check, it's probably higher than that. All in, but
well, this would be not for the current year. It's what I was.
oh, true, yeah.
I was getting stuff, so, and it's obviously fluid every year, these things are gonna change, but.
Right, I just think those were. Everybody else has kind of made sense except for West Rutland's.
Yeah, is West Rutland's, is that, do you know what kind of employee that is?
They said part-time and they had just increased it, that, Marianne, Goulet is the manager there, and they actually are proposing in the next fiscal year to bring, their rec person on more, maybe it wasn't full-time, but add more hours to the budget. That was her plan for FY26, to ask, obviously, ask for permission to fund, more hours because it was pretty popular. It's one of your most forward-facing public departments, and it just always is a popular place to spend a little bit of money, not ton, not limitless, but.
I mean, Rosemary can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the salary and budget are just switched, at least for ours.
Probably. I still have a copy of these.
We don't spend $44,000 in rec programs.
No. Okay.
16 sounds right.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
think.
gauging factor.
Well, that's what I really, yeah, thank you for that.
That's about what the budget was.
Now right around there. Well,
All right.
pull it out. Well,
Perfect, thank you, Carrie.
anybody else have anything? Do we need to approve this report as amended, or think we're good? If you
I
could
think we're good.
Make a couple amendments.
Let's approve when we get the final.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just throw it in our meeting to
Yeah.
approve final.
That works.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. for
Thank
your
you
time,
very,
Carrie.
very much. It's interesting.
Thank you.
It is, it's fun.
In the consulting gig, do you get interesting ones all the time now?
No, well, a little bit. I'm not doing as much consulting. I'm doing more interim work.
Yeah,
People keep leaving.
Speaking of which.
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that under item
Yeah.
16.
Oh,
Although I should touch base with you tomorrow,
about what?
something,
I didn't leave soon enough.
yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Howard, you got the hot seat. Can we make it quick? Hopefully.
Very quick. I'm having a lousy time trying to find someone who will level that patch of field out there. I've got this one guy who will do it for $500, which I thought was pretty good price. The next closest one to him was 2,500, so there you go. They, however, and nobody's got the machines out now. We waited too long. Everything's barns and walk walls tucked away. Everyone I've spoken to, which is half a dozen or so people. I don't know really quite what to do. I've contacted Jeff, Greg Tatro. See if this is a Hail Mary, see if they would help us out. He said that we could talk tomorrow after he's back from something he sent. So I don't have an answer for you tonight. But, and I'm also hearing from people who have graders and such that with as much snow and thawed ground underneath it as there is on Legion Field, that it might be a real mess scraping that down and getting it level. I don't know whether that's true or not. I ain't that's what should. I don't see why that would be the case. Seems to me a grader would make one first pass, get the snow off, then drop his blade a little bit, and get going. but I don't know.
But the field probably is pretty soft still, I would guess.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Gonna be roughing it up to get to the spot and then. Yeah, I think it's a valid point. It seems like it could be real nice.
could be. But on the other hand, I wasn't all that concerned about that because we figure we're gonna be redoing a lot of Legion Field that summer anyway. So we, we could clean up the edges. We just got a 50 by 100 foot level area. And let the edges be dammed in terms of what got pushed around. And so the rink could be built. Then in the spring, we could straighten all that out, level it up. Hopefully, we're gonna know what we're doing with Legion Field by the spring. We still don't know. We've all.
We're January and
So,
February for
um,
that conversation.
So nobody's willing to show up for $500 anymore. Is that the grasp I'm taking?
Well, I got one guy who's willing to show up for $500, but he's not willing to do it this fall. Which doesn't help us all,
But he would have done it like 2 weeks ago, probably.
presumably.
Yeah.
Or a month ago. I
Yeah.
don't know.
You were just texting me last Wednesday about this.
I know. Well, and I thought that before this meeting, I ought to give him a call, make sure he's still
Okay,
available.
got you. Okay.
So that's where we stand on that.
So you don't need a motion. Because nobody wants to run their equipment up.
Well, I didn't want to have a motion to, give me a budget, something, so that, if Greg comes through tomorrow, we can just get him started. I don't know, I'm not gonna stop looking, but I don't have anybody for you right now.
So I have a question. So we've lived through with this uneven field for the hockey rink for a couple of years now.
No,
Is it important enough to do it twice? Or can we live through another winter and do it once in the spring? I'm asking you, Brian.
I've gotten busier. I don't live across the street there anymore. My kids are getting older, so it's just too much work. It's not feasible and the village doesn't like me using their fire hydrant. You guys call. So the small 3/4 inch hose, garden hose from the pipe up there, it's too much, it's just too much.
I thought the village said they would do it. They were gonna assign people to do it.
Yeah,
That,
I don't know if I have a lot of faith in that.
They budgeted for it, but it had to be during normal hours.
Yeah.
Which made sense.
And it's so uneven, it takes so much water.
It takes a lot of water. It just doesn't take much water if it's close to level, 3-4 inches of water, you're fine.
yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I get that.
So when you're, you just spend so much time because you'll have 4, 5, 6 inches on one side and it's still plastic on the other, and then it snows and then you cut the plastic if you have to shop. So it's just pretty frustrating. I mean, it takes a long time.
It's too much to ask for a volunteer.
Yeah, and it's hard to get other people to go out there at, one. That's the problem. You can make it nice, but it's also rewarding to do it when it's flat. But, yeah, I don't want to burn out.
Are you proposing taking money out of this Legion Field grant?
Me?
Yes.
Yes. It's Legion Field.
I'm asking where the money's supposed to come from.
Hmm?
Grants, financer.
Yeah.
How would the board like to handle this?
How much budget do you think you need? What would you
I
recommend?
don't know, let's say $1,000.
So move.
I mean, let's just say, I don't know, but I mean.
There's a motion
it would
on
be
the
nice
floor.
to have something to start off with. For me to take it, Greg and say, gee, you really can't do it, and if he doesn't say, yeah, gratis, it takes. GW Tetros been real good with so far.
Mike made a motion
Seconded.
to approve an amount not to exceed $1,000 for leveling Legion Field. You seconded.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and the ayes have it. You got something.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
So there's no.
Thank you, Brian.
Huh?
Why are we leveling it if there won't be an ice rink there?
Sorry, this took so long.
Huh?
Sorry, this took so long.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Way worse.
I'd have given you the $500 a month ago, if that's what you wanted.
deal.
Mike's paying, you hear that?
All right, next up. Town sewer service area. We have Carl. We have- Hi, Carl. Believe Rosemary has all,
Has the original documents.
Rosemary has the documents. We all have the amended version. I believe we just need to motion to approve and sign, correct, Carl?
Yes, and then after tonight, we'll begin the post-adoption advertising process.
That's why I would entertain a motion from the board to approve the town sewer service area ordinance and maps as presented on December 1st, 2025.
So,
So,
you got it.
Who got it, Donna?
I think Mike got it.
I got it.
I'm giving this one to Peter.
Okay, so Mike moved and who seconded?
Peter seconded,
Mike and Peter,
You
okay.
guys are even on.
unless you want to call.
Hold it right off.
There's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
No,
Thank you very much for getting this done, Carl.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
This is something I wanted to do a long time ago, Peter.
Thank Alec
Hmm?
Jones.
This is
as
something I
well.
wanted to do years ago.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and the ayes have it.
Finally.
While that's going around for signature and we have Carl. Did that make it in the packet? Carl, yell at me if I'm misstepping. We were looking to use conservation easement on the Prindle lot for offsetting deer wintering habitat in the industrial park. And you spoke with our town attorney, and our town attorney is advising that divesting in anything should go through the process as if we were selling land, correct?
Correct.
Do you need a formal motion from the board to do this, or can I just poll the board and see what?
No, I'm not looking for a formal motion. I just wanted to get the board's input on this, so so that I would know when the CE is close to being acceptable, that I might start the advertising process. So, as I said in that email, it's a 30-day notice
Yeah,
before you take action.
which is a pain, but it does make things clean and clear if anybody were to come back in the future.
Makes perfect sense. It's
I'd like
good
to start
advice.
with Adrian.
Oh. Am I saying if I'm in favor of it or not?
Favor or not?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Or. Absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Looks like
Good advice. Thank you, Carl.
all five are in
Yep.
favor of, I guess, treating it as if we were selling, but we're not selling land.
Mhm.
Correct?
Right. Just using the process.
Peter, you'll notice I gave you a better spot.
You did what?
I gave you a better spot.
Oh, thank you.
I was trying to group your stuff a little bit, Carl.
Thank you for that.
Next up is the REREC steering committee. And I'm trying to get to that.
It's right after Pringle Lot, right?
Is it?
She ain't gonna be around long.
So the steering committee, I don't know, you have an email from me? I think I sent it to all the board members on November 18th.
Yeah,
That's so far back.
Well, it's also 2 pages back. Just keep going in the packet.
it's farther back. That's what I was having trouble with. So have you checked with
Johnson, Mercury's.
everybody on page 5 to 7?
So since I sent that email to you back a couple weeks ago, I did get clarification regarding one of the REO members, and who I did see in the audience earlier tonight. I don't know if she's still there, and Diana Osborne.
She is.
Yes, so I received a message that wants to be on, but then information came to me, did not include her. And then it was clarified for me that Diana does not wish to be a steering committee member, but would participate as a member of the public when the public forums are held.
Okay.
And also, since I sent you that email, no one else has come forward from the public. But I should have mentioned in the email, I guess, that in the office, we've talked about Isabel Sullivan, your rec coordinator, would be a good asset on the steering committee.
Have you
And
spoken
she
to,
is interested.
I asked Isabel too, and she said she would love to. Yeah.
Okay, can somebody make a motion?
So the questions that I had at the end of that email from the 18th, I was asking if you want to advertise to seek more letters of interest from residents, from business owners or managers, or even from non-residents. Do you want me to contact groups, and I named about 4 or 5 of them, to see what their interest would be in participating? Or does the board know of any other groups that should be contacted?
How many more people do you need?
There's
There is no minimum, no maximum. So it's
Okay.
really what you want. And so that's the thing about this, that they're performing these studies, writing these plans for lots of different types of communities. So I don't think they feel that they can say you have to have 9 members or you have to have 15 members. It's what you think you need for your community. And
I personally think this is a great group we have here. But I would be really interested to see if some of these outside parties you're potentially contacting would be interested in what they think they might bring to us. It's, just different perspectives and different expertise. Do you have the list? I don't have it. It's not in the packet.
I have up in front of me here, Paul.
Okay.
In the email, I mentioned the Green Mountain Club, the state's rail trail office, VAST, Vermont Mountain Bike Association, and the Disc Golf Vermont group, which is like the Disc Golf Association for this in Vermont.
When do we have to have this committee appointed by?
I still have not heard anything from the EPA office except the email saying they're back to work. So I'm guessing that at the earliest, you might need to have this group by the end of January.
So if we got the time, why don't, if you're okay with reaching out to those groups, I don't see the harm.
Can we approve these now and then approve more later?
I would say so. Again, there was no process dictated in the program guide. So I would say that you should be able to appoint some members now and add to it. But at some point, we will have to say to EPA, here is the list of steering committee members.
Yeah, maybe we just do it now. So in case tomorrow you get a email from them, you can just send this and we can get the ball rolling on it right away. And add more down the road.
You're okay with it? You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Is it this list in here?
Plus Isabel.
Okay.
There's two different lists.
Well, if I miss anyone or get anyone wrong, let me know, Carl.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jackie Dagger, Eva Rose, Patrick Ripley, Sherry.
That's the wrong list.
Oh, I have the wrong list?
Yeah, see, that's what I
Next
said, there's
page.
two lists.
That's-
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint the following members to the Johnson Recreation and Economic Opportunity Task Force. Kathy Black, Charles Flom, Morna Flom, Kate Harney, Doug Moldy, Eric Noose. And I think that's all.
Isabel.
Oh, and Isabel Sullivan, our rec coordinator.
Okay.
Well, what about the people who were on Randall's original steering committee and have expressed interest in continuing? And I believe that, I think in the email I mentioned it was only Doug and Eva that responded to me and said, yes, we want to continue serving.
Okay, Doug's
Said
already
Doug
on there.
already.
Yeah, so add Eva Rose to that list.
Okay, so I think I'm missing something. We've got Kathy Black, Charles and Warner Flom, Doug Moldy, Isabel Sullivan, Eva Rose. Is there something else?
Kate Harney.
Which, who was the other person?
Kate
Harney.
Harney,
Harney.
Harney.
Okay.
And we're adding Eva Rose, so we have a total of 8.
I sent it to him.
There's a motion.
So
Is
you
there a
have
second?
8 people? Got it. Second, third?
Okay. Clear as mud, Carl?
Yes, it's a good start. And I can be checking this over, and if I see that that we've overlooked somebody who has previously, say, been recognized as a member or expressed interest, I could bring that to you.
Okay.
And I'll work on contacting the groups that I mentioned in the email to you.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Next up. TA transition planning. Really sure what the board wanted to do with this, but I included one of the lists that we had. The large projects at the top. Out of the 3 of them, or 6 of them, they're all underway. I believe we're going to talk about the library a little bit later. There's some administrative work. Does the board want me to see if we could find a consultant to kind of spearhead a couple of them for us, or just hold off for
I mean, hold on.
another little bit? It's fine to chew on it, think about it.
A consultant to spearhead the project.
No, just to like Holmes Meadows gonna have. It has LCPC working on it, so that one's not a perfect example. Glenway Lane's completed, right, Rosemary? We're invoiced and paid. But we still have to close out the grant.
Yeah. Which I think they've sent me the documents, so I can do that once. Yeah, proof of payment.
VEC's not underway yet, is it?
Yes.
Is
There's been
it?
some construction, because MSI is doing that work.
Yeah, I know they got that one. Industrial park, Carl has the library. We're probably gonna need to clerk of the works. It's food for thought.
So between now and year end, the library is really the only one that's gonna need to be paid attention to.
And maybe some FEMA buyout stuff here and there, but I guess we have that covered.
That's not even on the list.
No, it's not. This is just the larger projects.
What from the library needs to be monitored?
You see the list that I have.
I've been wondering, so.
Work bed, Waters Falls.
So Holmes Meadow, we're gonna be taking some dirt from there putting it over on School Street.
Mhm.
Who coordinates those connections?
Somebody.
Somebody. Okay,
Not sure. I can ask the question. I would talk to Seth.
okay.
Yeah.
Want me to call?
No, not during the meeting, yeah.
No, I
We've
mean,
actually been making pretty good time. Could
We have
you
been.
call Seth? That would be
oh,
out tomorrow. Actually, I have to call him about home smell tomorrow.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Is the dirt that's being moved from Rich Meadow to School Street the same dirt that's involving the ice rink leveling?
no,
Mm-mm.
No, it's
Yeah,
gonna fill up the library foundation?
yeah,
Coming out from the corner. Yeah.
Can it be used to level the ice rink?
Well, ice rink doesn't really need to be leveled. I mean, you don't need to lug in any dirt for that. You just need to skim off the top a little bit, correct?
Yeah, we'll leave that for the experts on level field to decide.
You just want
One
to
of the
skim off the
issues,
hump a
yeah.
little bit.
One of the issues, you don't wanna add fill in the floodplain. So
Right,
better take it away,
got it.
but
It's urban soil and you can't take it very far. Genius.
When I was talking with Isabel recently, she commented that one of the playing fields, like where the baseball field is, the dirt's too thin to even sink a plate. And if you're looking for a place to put fill from Holmes Meadow, if there's extra above and beyond what's needed for the library, the baseball diamond has soil that's too thin to sink a plate in these places.
well. Okay, you can know.
I don't know if we got anywhere on that, but homework?
I would say hold off, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. I appreciate that. Everybody else share that sentiment. Kate. As far as the budget, I think we should probably schedule a meeting for next week. To go over the other sheets.
Okay.
What are y'all's thoughts? That's the update.
Sounds good to me.
Have any of the board members except for Adrian gotten on the SharePoint and seen the living?
No,
Okay. It's fine.
where is it on SharePoint? Under
It's,
budget?
it's a pink folder.
Oh,
And
good,
I labeled it budget.
might be able to find it.
You can find that email. Read.
Okay.
Or, I mean, we could send out the working copy, I guess. Just feel like if it's.
No, it's good
like-
practice, go find it on SharePoint, you should be able to use that.
Okay,
Tells you, human beings.
so does everybody want to select a date for next week now, or do we want to?
Well, we can't do Monday. It's a trustee meeting.
We can, but it wouldn't be very considerate.
Do it on the 12th.
That Monday meeting, by the way, might get postponed.
The Monday meeting might be postponed for the
Okay.
trustees.
The
No,
trustees
I'm
meet on the second
Oh,
Monday.
sorry, no,
of the
no,
month.
They're good.
sorry.
We do it on 12th of November.
What's the 12th?
Friday.
Tuesday the 9th.
I'm good with Tuesday.
Do you think you could be at that one, Rosemary? Maybe, maybe not.
I should be, I might be a little late, because I'm driving back from, late morning.
We can do it. We still have the other sheets to go over. Like the highway. And the salaries. And the insurance one, which is really just taking a stab at what we think insurance will go up.
My class ends at 3:30, so.
Well, if it's gonna be too much for you,
No.
I'm asking. She can do it with her eyes closed.
Don't drive with your eyes closed.
I won't be available till after the evening of the 10th.
After the evening of the 10th,
That's Wednesday is the 10th.
and that's the earliest.
But if I don't wanna bollocks things up, I'm just,
I think we got enough time. Just don't wanna kick it until January and be hard mode.
yeah.
So I think we're gonna need to figure out at some point.
Likely.
So which day are we saying now?
You cool with the time?
You wanna do the 10th?
I can do the 10th, yeah.
I can do the 10th.
Eureka!
There is skate park that night, just so you know.
Yeah, they start at 5:30 and their meetings are usually pretty short, so depending on what time you guys start, they might be done.
6:30?
Sold.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. All right, next up is a review and award general contractor bid for the library. Peter. Did you bring all your information?
I did. And I printed this out for your ease of viewing.
Ryan, do you know roughly where we're at?
Yeah, I gave it to
Sure.
You gave it to Peter?
I gave it
Yeah.
to Peter.
I have it.
Only one copy?
I don't have it on paper.
Oh,
I have it in front of me.
okay.
You're gonna tell us how far we are behind.
Do you know how much we've spent today?
Yeah.
We got an email today, didn't we? For that?
I thought I was
Good.
gonna Peter.
I usually pay attention to my emails.
Yeah. I think I just, because he emailed me,
Yep.
Yep.
wanted that information.
So I did have one question after I got yours. The library folks were talking about having gotten 1.5 million in the grant. But then there was some additional money that they received from Department of Libraries,
No. No.
maybe,
100 and some odd thousand, right?
no,
No,
Insurance.
that's the insurance.
that's the insurance, 160. 166. 997 was the insurance money available for the old building. I'm wondering if maybe that was a separate grant that the library has in their coffers,
Maybe.
maybe?
They do have their own treasurer, but generally all their funds roll through the town. So we're gonna go on what we have.
Yeah, so,
And if we get surprised next week, that would be cool.
all right.
Better to have more money than not enough money.
I don't know if we're at that problem yet.
Yeah,
So how much did we get for the grant?
so 1.5 million. And we have 166,997 in insurance money.
Yep. We spent.
And we have spent so far 805,547.
And does that include the full amount for Tetro?
No,
Yeah.
any Tetro.
Yeah,
And that is how much?
that is 184,000.
Even?
Mhm.
That's convenient. Love it when people keep numbers easy.
So. The balance that Rosemary, you gave me of 694,452 does not include insurance money, right?
No.
Yeah.
677,450 includes insurance money.
No, you just said it didn't.
So
He was
Take
going
the-
by the figures that was given.
Do the math.
it's a balance of 694, 452. And add 166 and 97. I get 861,449.
So what I did was I took our insurance revenue plus 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And my dumb person said in my brain that was $1,666,997. I'm not questioning your math, Rosemary. Took out 805,547. Costs already out the door,
Mm-hmm.
and 184,000 for Tetro.
Mm-hmm.
$677,450 left. Am I missing? There's
I don't think so.
There's a number I did wrong.
Say
Something I'm not-
677.
677,450
Right.
is what I came up with.
All right.
That includes insurance, and it assumes that we'll pay for the 184,000 for utility work. Correct?
The Tetro work.
Yeah. GW, utilities.
Right. Okay. Was that was all? That was getting the utilities across the road and the foundation? That was all wrapped up together?
Yeah. It was.
I
Okay.
believe it was, but
All right.
it's like a.
So, yeah, so, okay, 677.
Got a big delta.
Mm-hmm.
Awful big.
So, I've had a couple of conversations today. About that delta. And. I think when the library committee met yesterday, they hadn't quite arrived at the same number. But they realized they had quite a gap there, and they are committed to raising the difference. Without coming to the town. So combination of capital campaign. There is a Department of Libraries grant for up to $400,000 that they're planning to apply for. Another grant, I can't remember the source at the moment. And then hopefully we can utilize some volunteers to do some of the work and trim some of the costs. And I think, I mean, my feeling is that we have to go on faith that we can close the gap, because the alternative is if we slow this down in any way and put ourselves in jeopardy of not having finished the project by December 31st next year, we need to return the $805,000 we've spent.
Can you define a finished project? What needs to happen so we don't have to send that back?
Really see you.
Hmm?
Does there need to be an addition? For certificate of occupancy? I mean, I'm asking specifically grant wise. Did the grant guarantee that there was gonna be 12 outlets for Legion Field to use. That the grant, did we make promises for lighting over here? Did we make promises for free Wi-Fi? Pretty sure we did. Did we make promises for square footage? What needs to happen?
My understanding at this point is that the critical requirements of the grant were the space for telehealth, a computer room, and 24-hour Wi-Fi internet access. That's my understanding right now.
So that essentially means the addition needs to be built.
They had a computer room and Wi-Fi in the existing library.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is easy, but the telehealth space is maybe different.
Is it the access to a computer?
No, that's private access.
Yeah, you need some sort of a private room.
Yeah, they're like cubicles. In the plan. I understand your question. I wouldn't get too hung up on defining that because the bottom line is we need to get this project going and we don't want to have to return $800,000.
I don't want to have to make the expectation that the library is gonna raise more than $50,000 a month.
That's their expectation.
And if they don't, we halt the project. And don't complete it, send the money back anyways, maybe we send more money back. Is now the smart time to say no addition? Or make some changes? I'm not crapping on the library, they do a lot of good work. In my mind, the town is on the hook for the liability. And I have seen very successful campaigns for libraries around their area throughout my life. And I don't know of one that's raised 50 grand a month for a year.
Okay, again, their plan is capital campaign, grant sources, volunteer work, a combination of all the above, including if they have to, a mortgage.
Understood. How do they take out a mortgage on the property that the town owns?
It'd have to be through,
Us,
yeah, it'd have to be a town.
we would hold the liability if there was a mortgage.
What I see here from the lowest to the highest bid. $670,750 behind, $802,550 behind, and $1,589,550 behind. With the three bids that we have. If we go with any one of them. Those are the numbers.
Somebody's gonna have to make a motion for that, yes.
So we're gonna have to pare this back or do something. I really. Let's just pick the middle. That's $802,550. You're gonna raise that kind of money in a year?
So the alternative is
Oh, I know
to
what the alternative
abandon
is.
the project
Yeah,
as it sits now and return $800,000.
got it. So,
I
That's,
think
that's the only alternative, not trim back excess work.
we can trim back excess work. Still, yeah, I mean, I sat with them yesterday, the architect was there, he said, first thing he was gonna do was gonna go back and reprice the windows.
I think in your email, you said that, you were talking with one of the, representatives and they were already looking at cost saving measures. There weren't a whole lot specified in what I saw, though. Are there
No.
others being considered that could help close the gap? This is a pretty daunting fundraising mission.
So they're you know, there were the ones that were mentioned on that summary sheet I gave you, which doesn't get us very far. But like I said, you know, there are alternatives to look at in terms of the cost for the windows, the cost of flooring. Any number of things that can be revisited and evaluated to save money.
And that's kind of a drop in the bucket, maybe the windows and the floor.
Well, okay, I'm
Little bit
talking
sound.
about,
I understand a little bit.
I'm talking about a complete picture, trimming expense and going for all of the money that they can possibly go for. And believing it's gonna happen because the alternative is a hole in the ground and somebody being out $800,000. I don't see, you know, I don't see at this point that we have that alternative.
We've been really backed into a corner here.
And nobody's backed us into a corner.
Yeah, we have.
Nobody's backed us into
Of course
a
we
corner.
do. We're
We
backed
might
into a
be
corner.
in one, but no one has backed us.
I understand that, but the point is, we don't have the money to do it. And we're going on faith that somebody's gonna get it. And number two is that if we don't do it, then we have to give 800 and change back
Which we
at
don't
a
have.
town coffers.
So given that, I'd rather gamble with the library making it work.
If they. I'm going to sound negative here. Do such a great job.
All I've heard so far, so go for it.
So you've continually said the only alternative is for us to write a check for $805,000.
Mhm.
That's the only alternative. And we need to run on faith. Hear you.
It's my business.
So let's run on touche. But let's run on faith. Let's say we get another $670,000 out there. And let's say the library did well. I think we've all talked significantly lately about the fact that grant funding is drying up
Mhm.
for every other sector. So I'm just gonna assume that mentality holds some strength. So let's say the library did great, they got 100,000 more. Let's say they raised 20,000 a month. So there's 350,000 more. The delta is still big enough. If the building's not completed, is our only alternative then to send $1.5 million back? Because in that scenario, I would say, sounds like running on faith just costs the taxpayers a lot more money. I'm asking a question, can it be completed? I can run on faith. I'm a facts and figures guy, you know that.
I say we finish a building, whatever it looks like, that meets those three criteria of the grant. And if it doesn't have a hardwood floor, if it's plywood, we live with plywood.
There are. In commercial buildings, there is standards and our insurance company won't allow certain things. I can't speak to plywood versus hardwood, but. If plywood's not allowed in a commercial building that's accessible to the public,
I'd have to paint it.
I think we have
maybe.
Have to paint it.
questions.
I mean, Dale and I, both looked at this bid pretty hard.
We're good friends.
Yeah, we're both bidding on it, and, there's a lot from there that can't get trimmed. There's some stuff in there that wasn't spec'd out clearly, that, I think we both probably carried allowances in there to make sure that they were carried, just because we're going out this year after the build, right, putting a number out there for a little bit. MEP alone, which is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, was like $400,000 for this build, which is very high. So there's some fat we could trim just in mechanical, electrical. I mean, the light package is $60,000 for light fixtures. So I think, but And when it comes to the deductions, Dale and I are gonna sit here and look at a project and say, this is what you want, but I could build you this for a lot cheaper. That's not what we're really in the business of doing, you gave us a project you wanted, so we gave you a price for that project. And it's a lot of work to ask 3 people, different contractors to design a new front entry. I'm not in the business of giving design work away. It's not what we do. We offer a product based on what the proposed building is at hand. And so there's quite a bit on there. I mean, there's a cupola and,
Yeah, I worked for Paul for 4 years. And he's a great architect. Every building, every house, everything's ever done, Paul's did some 8-sided, even the partner, Frank Paul's. Went up to his house in Hyde Park, they had 8-sided addition, sit there. And I gotta be careful what I say about what people design. I'm gonna try. I did actually, Paul. I did Greg's house. And you walk up to the second floor and you couldn't, his master bedroom, you couldn't walk around. You had to get the slide. But he got all his windows free, Anderson windows, but you put it in magazines. But then get back to the problem is, there's a lot of stuff. That cupola is very expensive. It makes no sense to the town. I pay taxes, Brian, it makes no sense. To have that cupola in there.
There's some trim details that could get dialed back.
Siding to be,
No
nowadays they do really vinyl siding is today. Unbelievable, the last, vinyl's vinyl. These guys put in spruce. Paint both sides of spruce, 3 pellets, and that's expensive. So, I can't throw your number out there, but I can, but
There's room to move.
Yeah, you-
$670,000 or whatever it is, the difference. But I think you're dealing with a library board of people passionate about libraries. They happen to be, pretty good at writing grants for the most part and finding that. But I think that should give them a shot. It'd be pretty silly to cut a check for $800,000 just have a big concrete wall down there.
Be pretty silly to cut a check for 1.5 million and have a
I
building.
mean, you guys are gonna reach 200,000, you bought a sweet $2 million building for $200,000 mortgage, whatever. I don't think that's a bad deal. You get $2 million in real estate at 10%.
Uh,
Even got it.
So
We
I
made
hear
it
you
clear
both
back
saying-
in
sorry,
May
go
what the
ahead.
board's opinion was, but.
Hmm?
Go for it.
I hear you both saying that there's savings to be had.
Totally,
But I
yeah,
also hear you saying you don't wanna redesign on your own tab. So
Right.
how does that?
Well, I think
manifest
it's,
itself? How do we work that out?
Well, the cupolas and granite steps we have.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that can be adjusted as well. Yeah, I think in the bid process, it's different than when you're a GC. And in GC, you're now partnered with your client. You're gonna work with your client to bring that price down. When you're bidding on something that is as presented.
Right, well, that's.
So now you're entering a partnership, and that's how it works, you have an architect, so you would be paying your architect. But it would be working directly with the architect as opposed to saying, hey, what's cheaper, I could draw that thing real cheap, but. Not real like it.
I don't think we could probably get there $100,000.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. In savings. Yeah, that's
Okay.
a change.
What was, I might have added mine a little bit more just because there was some. I think I carried an allowance for an alarm system. It wasn't designed for an alarm system package.
I thought that fire marshal will come visit us, that's for sure,
Vampires.
many times. So, but that's okay, we deal with it. Paul's a good guy, honest with you, and you be honest with Paul. We wanna say. We can give you this stuff, so. Cause if we get involved, he's gonna come out and look at our stuff. But. I know that the siding is a. What he designed is expensive versus vinyl. Vinyl, they got some excellent vinyl out there.
And Dale knows I want this more than he does, so he. I could organize volunteers pretty well with my family, folks that I surround myself with in town, and if Dale as well, he's done a lot. Too. So I think there's some things in there that can cool. And that again is not something that I would be doing, you know, as a business owner, but as a community member. Somebody that, you know, I spent 3 nights on the library the last 3 floods. So I'm committed to that in that sense. But if you pick me and not Dale.
You'll be there for the next one. I think volunteerism is great. For sure. We'd have to get it run by the insurance company, or the GC would have to,
All about that over the summer.
GC would have to accept the liability.
Sitting in front of a pile. Covered.
That'd be great to see it in writing.
Yeah.
It should probably be the GC's liability if it's their project.
So a question for you both, are if we were to make an award. And then we go back and change a bunch of stuff, how does that play out?
We deduct it from the contract. We tell you how it's, tell you the savings, this comes off what we did.
So you leave your existing contracts or bids as they are, we make an award, and then we go back and change things. And
I think that's gonna slow you down too much. I think you pick a contractor, you work with the contractor, trust your contractor and have a relationship with them. Move forward. I don't think you have the time to go back and forth like this at this point. You
yeah,
got,
well, that's where I'm going.
yeah, you got foundations going up that need to be backfilled, capped. And you, honestly, I mean, we should have got GC 12 months ago.
Is it possible to build a building and not finish the entire inside?
Not for your grant, I think.
We would send $1.5 million back.
Well, I don't know that we have to finish everything inside to meet the grant specs. To go to where you were going before, like what do we need to do to, what's the minimum?
The library that's there.
Well, with.
With a cubicle. It's for $800.
Yeah,
Somebody's gonna need to make a decision. None of my comments have anything to do with trust or distrust with contractors. I'm watching out for money for the taxpayers. That's where my comments come from.
Uh. Well. What's the motion need to be?
Whatever you desire. Or whoever makes the motion
A
desire.
vote on contractor or a vote on whether we
You had to
do something?
contract to first one too.
No, you gotta give a dollar amount.
Right. You
Wow.
still gotta, you've got 3 bids before us and you have to pick a bid.
With dollar amounts, don't you?
well, okay, so can we make the motion? I'll make a motion, you tell me if this passes muster. Based on the email from the library trustee chair, I move that the bid be awarded to Back 40 Builders in the amount of $1,480,000. With the understanding that there'll be
Value engineered.
value engineer, thank you. For cost
People love
savings.
that word. You're not going with a little bit. I guess the library made the recommendation.
You,
Pretty close, but I'm going with the library trustee chair's recommendation.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a
I'll
second.
second.
Is there further discussion? Mike, how are you gonna vote?
So who seconded that?
I did.
Peter did. I'll say it under further discussion. The only way that I'll vote affirmative in that action is if it's amended to say the town is not gonna be on the hook for any overages. We have the amount of money that's in the grant, the amount of money we have our insurance. That's it.
And that was our agreement with the library to start with.
That was the agreement with the library. It's not in the current motion.
So,
It's a friendly addition accepted.
and the second accepts it.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
You have to say aye if you want.
Aye.
Okay. Let it be noted for the record that I will vote in the affirmative under protest. Because I do not like to go into something that I don't know what the outcome is gonna be. And there are too many maybes in this whole thing for me.
Can I echo him on that?
I think we all feel that way.
All those opposed? And the ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think there needs to be some very, very clear messages about the funding shortfall. And I think you could cut all MEP and not make up that. You could cut all MEP and $100,000 off construction. Still be the delta. So
You guys are in a tough position.
with your money,
Well, I don't, I pay taxes every year, you guys.
yeah,
Evidently, yeah, but it would be time,
if we write a check back, it's gonna be more.
you know,
We're not gonna write a check back.
to be honest with you,
Well, yeah.
Tom didn't represent that to us,
What?
that money issue. So let's see, one,
Oh, I don't know.
yeah, he's,
All over the place.
it's all over the place.
Right, changed sometimes.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it takes 50 to 60 hours pulling these bids together,
Yeah.
at least that's what I spent.
Right.
Well, get cracking.
Work.
Do we get 100% of the VE items or 80%?
Yeah.
I mean, anything that's VE'd out, what percentage are we getting?
I think your biggest.
Don't worry
one, if
about
you Look at that foundation and. Sooner,
Yeah.
sooner than later, you're in world of trouble.
Wonderful. We got all kinds of money for a foundation.
Bring a checkbook.
No,
Yeah, let's-
yeah, we'll need a
Thank you
contract.
both.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you
guys.
both.
First.
Thank you.
Everybody provided the bonding, right? Everybody decided the bonding and everything.
Bonding,
Sure. Let's move on.
yeah.
Okay, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you make it clear why you were abstaining for the public?
I'm
You
not,
don't have to.
Huh?
You don't have to, but you were abstaining.
yes. And could you put that I left during that discussion in the minutes?
Yeah, I already wanted to here, I looked over at what and realized, gosh, Adrian is on there.
Asking.
Yeah,
Figured
because
it.
I'm an employee of Ryan, so I didn't wanna be part of the discussion.
I was gonna vote no to
I
it.
hung myself out last Friday. Not doing it for you again. Nothing on old business. We do have an executive session as allowed by 1 BSA 313A3 for interview evaluation, and there may be some action coming out of it. So I would entertain a motion from the board to enter executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Third, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the board's entering executive session at 8:53. Can I say that this is earlier than I thought?